So China's factories are struggling with an energy crisis brewing in the country. China is trying to import more energy from the north in Russia to kind of offset a lot of the lost electricity that they are needing to keep these factories going. A lot of these factories are shutting down. It's mostly like metal manufacturing kind of industries, and they're mostly smaller firms, but it is having a tremendous impact on the country itself, which of course is the second largest economy. It's also mostly manufacturing based economy. So if you're seeing like a dip in energy production or a dip in energy across the board, then you're going to see a dip in manufacturing, which just trickles down to people getting laid off, less food on the table, just issues across the board. So this is a pretty notable event because you're looking at a large economy that is struggling to keep energy flowing through the pipelines, rather. Sorry. And it's touching the cryptocurrency industry as well. A lot of people are speculating that this is a big reason for why Bitcoin mining and Ethereum mining was kind of hacked away over the summer months, and that's why they're also looking at trying to dig into some other industries as well. There's been some reports that soybean manufacturers are also being cut off because they're just too energy intensive. So just to go back to Naomi, your point, complete control here. The CCP is trying to kind of look at this huge picture, look at all this population it has, all these industries, and figure out where can we stop some growth so that we can use this energy in the ways that it's going to help the most amount of people, which is a pretty tough way of looking at things. And I want to throw it to you first for your take on this story.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much to unpack here. What immediately struck me about this was just seeing in the past couple of years how fragile the supply chain is. I mean, if China shuts down production in their factories for certain products, everyone suffers. We have a completely interconnected world these days. No matter how much governments try to erect barriers and create all these, trade regulations that either stop or speed up trade between countries, they're trying to control that, but we're so interconnected. And this last year, I mean, I tried to buy a freezer at the start of 2020, and I think I had to wait until the very end of 2020 in order to get one. It's like they're completely sold out. That's one product. I could name like hundreds of products that just haven't been able to be found on the shelves, or it's very difficult. Like a lot of people in crypto, they're kind of looking at crypto and saying, well, I want the financial system. I want everything to collapse. I want to watch the world burn. I want this entire thing to be shaken up. I don't at all, because I see the tremendous value of these very fragile and precariously based systems. And you see what like a minor upset can do to shake everything up. It's like, well, China has some energy shortages. Suddenly everyone loses components for all of their products. I mean, what is comforting about crypto is that I think that this shakeup was going to come anyway. I think that we're headed for a complete disruption because the system that we've set up is very, very fragile and vulnerable. But the good thing is that we do have things like cryptocurrency to help us store our value if such a shakeup and such a catastrophe happens. So that's kind of where my head is at. But I mean, this whole story is pretty interesting and is kind of scary. But Danny, I'll throw it to you for your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, going back to the crypto mining ban that came earlier this year, that from what I was hearing, at least part of the thought behind that process, behind that decision rather, was just the fact that that crypto mining was taking up so much energy, and that is when you need energy, and it's going toward some activity that is not seen as productive to the wider plan, the 5-year plan, as would be the case for China, I believe. That is an industry that you're going to want to clamp down on, and you're going to want to be able to redirect that power elsewhere. So crypto mining is really only a small part of a much bigger story, like an infrastructure, societal story that's going on in China. But it's good context to see the different cogs at play here.
Yeah, just to kind of pick up on what you're saying there's been a lot of tension within China over the last year. I think it's something that we've talked about in the hash multiple times over and over again is tech stocks and technology companies are facing tremendous pressure from the CCP. We've seen like Didi, which is like an Uber-esque app in China, be curtailed by the central government there. Now you're seeing on the energy front that because of a lack of energy, they're having to crack down on certain industries. And they're going after the ones that are easy. Bitcoin mining is probably the easiest one to go after. And then you kind of go down your list afterwards. But there's a lot of pressure across the board. Naomi, you also touched on the supply chain issues. We've seen a lot of talk about semiconductors. And the UK has had to cut down a lot of its production of automobiles because they don't have the chips from China to be able to make them. So it's interesting to see like the role that China plays on the manufacturing side and how that relates to the cryptocurrency industry as well. Zach, I'll throw it to you.
Yeah, for me, the big picture here is just these interconnected systems. I think, everyone sort of naturally gets kind of like locked into their own lane. Like we become really focused on crypto. We could become really focused on whatever your passion or your profession is. But when you kind of zoom out and you look at like the way these global systems are related, it's really eye-opening to me. And I think what this is really illuminating for like China's crypto crackdown, right? We hear about the China Bitcoin ban and we assume that it's just about this one thing, when in reality, it's about a totality of things that a national government is trying to tackle. So to me, that's what these stories offer, is that moment to be like, oh wait, cryptocurrency isn't something that is completely parallel to the real world. It is rooted in the real world, and it is rooted to political realities, economic realities, all the way down the line. And that's what this story is to me. It's just that moment to zoom out and be like, okay, yeah, this is a global system.
Yeah, and I'll add to that. I mean, if you look at the state of the economy across the globe, if we can sort of draw similarities between different countries' economies, I mean, in China, you've got that big Evergrande catastrophe, which is this giant real estate company that is on the brink of default. Then the government is talking about bailing them out. What do we need to do to start paying off their debts? Because if they start defaulting, it'll be a catastrophe. So the Chinese government printing a bunch of money to bail out this company, which was clearly badly managed. And so there's another augmentation in the market that they're feeding rather than just letting correct itself. And then you've got China also printing money, and they're just buying US bonds while the US government is printing a ton of money so that they could just, create and bail out whatever bad businesses they want to bail out. It's just this very circular system where everyone's printing out money and buying each other's things. And the only reason that there's some sort of equilibrium is because every government seems to be doing the same thing. They all seem to be, printing this money, devaluing everyone's money and redistributing it into these failed businesses and bad schemes that shouldn't be propped up. And it all has to come to a head at some point. And I'm wondering whether all of these signs of distress that we're seeing in the economy and in global marketplace is suggesting that that's on the horizon. But it's a lot to think about.